So here the skipper needs to ease the mainsail to keep the boat flatter. A constant angle of heel is better than the boat heeling up and down. And Lisa's really eased right there. You can look at how loose her bridle is on the leeward side, and Jill and Lisa are doing a good job hiking. A lot of main Cunningham on, a lot of Vang on, a lot of Outhall on. And here Puff comes and Lisa heads up a bit to keep the boat flat, but could even use even more ease. All right, Cat right there. Again, not easing enough, not enough main Cunningham. Needs to keep the boat flat, or at least a constant angle of heel. Here, she eases a little bit. We can watch the end of her boom. And then in the final video with the drone that's coming up, you can see by the end of the day, they're doing a much better job of keeping a constant angle of heel and keeping the boat flat. And this is even with increased breeze. So definitely like an improvement throughout the day, keeping the boat flat. But the skipper should always be playing the main sheet. Little trims, sometimes big eases in the puffs. Here, if you watch the boom, the end of the boom, the main sheet and in the hand of the skipper, it's always going in and out, hiking hard, and then it's definitely eased a lot by looking at how loose the leeward side of the bridle is. And again, here, definitely need a lot more ease. You still want to hike, but can't have the boat heel up like that. The boat slides sideways rather than going forward fast. Holly's doing a good job here. She's eased a lot. They've got the boat at a nice constant angle of heel. And here, Sarah and Mariah also a good job. This is earlier in the day, not as windy, but just watch the end of her boom. She does these little micro trims and eases with the main sheet. And here the girls do a great job of going in and out of the boat as the breeze lessens, but also a reminder that the crew, it helps if they have the Vang in their hand, and when they're sliding in, ease the Vang off a little bit, and when they go out to hike again, pull more Vang on. Good crews are always playing the Vang. Here you can see that Marissa has the main ease, but is flat. And then coming out, they flatten the boat. And you don't want to pull in the mainsail all the way until you're out hiking and have the boat flat. And a really nice constant angle of heel with Marissa and Ellie. The boat's flat, they're going fast forward. And that's the most important thing. Trimming it in doesn't mean you're going to have more height and go faster. It means that in big breeze in your lighter team, you're going to go slower and sideways. A lot of boats were overstanding on the ley line, and it's really important that once you're overstood, you want to head down to the mark as soon as you can. Don't wait until you get to the mark to head down, and that means easing the main and easing the jib. And in this next video, you're going to see a lot of teams overstood, and the skipper is easing the main to head down towards the mark, but the crews aren't easing the main. And you have to remember that the main and the jib have to work in tandem. So if the skipper is easing the main to duck somebody, or if they're heading down because of a wave, the crew should also ease the jib a little bit, and the main should be eased. So here the Bennetts have their sails eased heading down. That's great. Again, yep, both sails are eased. But the further back we get in the fleet, people were staying up too high on the ley line and not heading down to the windward mark until they got to the mark. So Lori does a great job here of heading really far down, almost by the lee there, as she rounds the mark, and that helps the crew get the pull out faster. So right here at the windward mark, often the crew is stepping on the jib sheet, or there the pull is caught on the wrong side of the pull launcher line. It makes it hard to get out. Nice flat boats, and the Bennetts do a really job of heading low really fast. That's by easing the sails very quickly, and Catherine headed down really far. That makes it easy for Jessica to get the pull out. Okay, Izzy's going to do a great job launching the pull here, and watch how fast she gets the board up afterwards. Bam, the board is up. She really bent her knees and was away from the mast for that launch. Okay, right here we have too much main Cunningham on. The jib cloth is not off, and outhall's not off either. So definitely need to power up downwind, get those sails really, really full to go faster. And that's the crew's job. And obviously she normally skippers, so she's not using those things. Okay, here there's too much Vang off. And so, especially with the chop and in waves, the boat is less stable. So pull on a little bit of Vang there. Georgie pulled it on, and it stabilizes out the boat and makes it easier for the skipper to drive. Too much off is bad, and too much on is bad. So Okay, again, the jib cloth is off here, it's better, but there was too much main cutting him on. And Jill's in the Thunder boat fixing something, but because she's lighter, she really needed to slide over to the other side to counteract Lisa's weight, because Lisa's heavier. And then it gives Lisa more control over how she's steering the boat. Crews need to get information from the skippers about that. Okay, Marissa's doing a great job pumping the main sheet, and then Elise here does a great little ooch forward on a wave. She's scooting back and forth. The crew is always moving, never static in the boat, really in charge of keeping the bow out of the water, helping it surf down waves. Really nice jib shape coming downwind here, full jibs, very spinnaker-like. Jib cloth off, enough halyard off, gets the jib up off the deck and full for more power. Again, great tight racing, but the Bennetts are inside here and everybody else wants to get their pulls down really early, because if your pull doesn't come back the way it's supposed to, and often doesn't at the leeward mark, you want to have time to fix that. Or if the boat in front of you doesn't get their pull down, you want to be able to steer around them and get a nice rounding. So don't wait to get your jib halyards back on and to get your pulls down at the rounding. And if you want to slow down, if you're on the outside, put that heavy centerboard down and get the pull down. That will definitely slow you down for the mark rounding. But great tight racing, everybody. Really, really nice and fun. And crews, don't pull the jib in all the way until the skipper fully rounded up around the leeward mark. The main should come in a little bit first, and then the crew trims the jib last minute. So here, you've got 3 boats. They're too close to the mark, and somebody's going to have a bad rounding. You want to get those pulls down early, so that, especially if you're on the outside, that we're going to see in a second here, that definitely winners and losers there. Should have had the pull down earlier to slow down and round tighter. So there's 2 less than optimal mark roundings in that group of 3 at the end. So at the leeward mark, the skipper pulls in the mainsail as they're rounding up, and then the crew follows with the jib. Just don't slam in the sail, because it doesn't help the skipper round up and will slow you down as well on the mark rounding. So we need to work on a little bit of wide and tight mark roundings. And usually we're pulling the jib cloth and the vang on after the rounding. You want to get the outhaul back on, board down, and the halyard back on before the mark, and then the jib cloth and main Cunningham and vang on as you're rounding the mark. Probably jib cloth on first, then vang, then main Cunningham. And that's mostly the crew's job. So they're super busy skippers. Be patient. They've got a lot of work to do at the leeward mark. You're just mostly pulling on the halyard and trimming in your main.